A U.S. fighter pilot's epic struggle for survival after being shot down on a mission over Laos during the Vietnam War. Welcome back to Movies Explained. Today's film is a war adventure from 2006 titled Rescue Dawn. USS Ranger, Gulf of Tonkin, 1965. Before leaving on their mission, U.S. Navy Squadron VA-145 receives a mission briefing aboard the USS Ranger. The squadron's mission will be to fly over northern Vietnam and attack the enemy's supply chain. The mission is classified and the crew is instructed to keep quiet. They are shown a video on jungle survival that covers all possible situations they may encounter. In his last briefing, the commander warns the crew about the use of their radios during the mission. He advises the crew not to use their military radio unless they have been shot down, to avoid being intercepted by the enemy. According to military intelligence, the enemy has been intercepting their radio broadcasts and using them to lure rescue units into an ambush. Lieutenant Dieter Dengler takes charge of the 4 fighter jets on the day of the mission and they head out. As they fly over North Vietnam into Laos, Dengler's plane sustains damage to its left wing as he attempts to drop his bombs on his target. The crew advises him to eject, but Dengler refuses, and is able to successfully crash land his plane and run into the jungle as Laotian soldiers give chase. Dengler runs from his pursuers through the jungle. Remembering the squad leader's last orders, he hides his military radio under a pile of bushes and heads further into the jungle. Dengler emerges from the jungle after hearing a U.S. military helicopter above and proceeds to climb a nearby boulder in an attempt to be seen by the circling rescue aircraft. Unable to attract the attention of the rescue planes, he realizes that he is too exposed and could be apprehended and attempts to return to the jungle to continue hiding from the enemy, but when he pauses to take a drink, he is apprehended by enemy soldiers. He is taken to a Lao village and tied to the ground for the night. The next day, he is led into the jungle and tied to a tree, while soldiers taunt him by firing their rifles around his head and body and purposefully missing. The following day, he is loaded into a truck and driven to a new location. The province governor offers him to sign a declaration that denounces the United States and its war against the Lao people in exchange for his freedom, but Dengler refuses to do so. Dengler's refusal to accept the governor's offer resulted in torture at the hands of his Lao captors and subsequent deportation to a prison camp in rural Laos. There he meets other POWs, including Americans Eugene Debruin and Dwayne Martin, as well as pilots from other countries named YC, Physit, and Prosit. Debruin takes Dengler on a private tour of the jail compound to introduce him to the local guards. During the day, the captives are confined to a bamboo hut, although they are free to roam the camp in the morning. At night, when the inmates are left alone in their hut, they are able to have private conversations without fear of being overheard by the guards. Dengler attempts to rally the other inmates behind him so that he may devise an escape strategy out of the prison camp and into the jungle. Martin advises him against acting on this notion. He explains that they can't possibly endure the tropical heat in the jungle if they don't have access to water. Dengler's told that the rainy season is 5 months away, but he refuses to stay that long and wants to start planning an escape right away. Dengler is informed by the prisoners that getting out of the jungle at night will be nearly as difficult as surviving in the jungle during the day. At night, the captives are left alone in their huts, but they are bound with handcuffs and their feet bound inside logs of wood. Dengler devises a plan to free the convicts from their night chains in order to win over his fellow inmates and improve their morale in the hopes of carrying out an escape attempt. The prisoners devise a plan to steal a nail from one of the guard huts the following morning, and they collaborate to make it happen. When the captives return to their hut that evening, Dengler uses the nail pick to open their shackles and slide the lock off their wooden restraints. After seeing Dengler's cleverness, the other convicts begin to believe in him and his skills to break them out of the camp. The sound of fighter planes flying above the prison camp irritates the guards the next morning. One of the guards fires next to Martin's head, grazing the side of his head. Later at night, Debruin argues with Dengler to get him to give up his jail escape scheme. He warns Dengler that their lives are in jeopardy because of Dengler's escape plan. If Dengler goes through with his plan to escape, Debruin says he would scream and warn the guards. He tells Dengler that if anyone is getting shot, it's going to be Dengler. A birthday party for Dengler is held among the inmates a few days later. They surprise him by singing happy birthday and give him smashed insect larvae as a birthday present. Dengler then presents the inmates with a gift of his own, a pair of bullet casing knives he made. Finally, he reveals his revised strategy to them. His new plan calls for them to take over the jail camp rather than flee to the forest. When the guards go to lunch, he wants them to break free from their handcuffs, grab their guns, and take over the camp, holding it for a few days until they can signal U.S. rescue helicopters. They pick the 4th of July as their escape day, and the prisoners work during the night to cut a hole in the floor of their hut. Dengler slips out the hidden hatch at night to carefully lay out a route to the perimeter fence. Dengler also opens up a gate in the perimeter fence so they may escape to the kitchen and ambush the guards there. But one day, YC, who understands the language spoken by the guards, overhears a discussion between a few of the guards. They learn that the guards want to kill them and make it look like they were trying to escape. They want to do this in order to return to their villages since there's no more rice being sent for the guards. Dengler decides to swiftly carry out their plan in response to the unexpected danger posed by the guards. To avoid being killed by the guards, they have decided to execute the plan the following day. The following morning the prisoners put their plan into action. Dengler briefs everyone on the whole operation one more time before leaving. The plan calls for dividing the inmates into 2 groups, with Debruin in charge of the first group and Dengler and Martin handling the second. When both parties arrive where the guards are, they will overwhelm the guards and take them prisoner. Dengler is the first one to leave the hut, going after the weapons the guards leave unattended before lunch. He comes back to the inmates with the weapons and hands them out to the prisoners. Upon entering the kitchen hut, Dengler and Martin find themselves alone with the others nowhere to be seen. They open fire on the guards, killing most of them but allowing one to make a break for it. Because of this, their strategy has to be revised entirely. The other guards are expected at any moment, and the prisoners cannot remain in the camp for much longer. As they escape the camp, they come across the other prisoners. Dengler is enraged and wants to know where they were and why they left them hanging. Dengler and Martin decide to go their own way and leave the others to go their own way. Fortunately for Dengler and Martin, the rainy season in the forest has started, so they have access to water. They construct a homemade raft and set off down a small river in search of the bigger Maetsong River, which they hope would lead them to Thailand. Dengler and Martin's raft gets close to a deadly waterfall and they scramble to get to shore before falling off the edge. Luckily, the two are able to swim to safety before being carried over the falls by the raging water. They continue walking through the jungle looking for shelter. After hours of walking they discover an abandoned village and stop to rest. Shortly after, American helicopters are heard flying above. Dengler shouts and waves but they pass by without noticing them. Martin has become very weak and tells Dengler that he can't continue any longer. He wants Dengler to continue without him but Dengler refuses to leave him. He decides to build a fire the next time helicopters are heard in the air to get their attention, but they get mistaken for the enemy. The choppers open fire, narrowly missing them. The two men continue through the jungle until they come across a small village. When they are discovered by angry villagers, they attack them and kill Martin. Dengler is able to briefly scare them back with his machete and flee into the jungle. Dengler, who by now is very weak and hungry, starts seeing Martin in his dreams. He is now on his own, so he spends his time foraging for food in the jungle along the riverbank. Dengler is eventually spotted by a U.S. scout aircraft passing overhead. Minutes later, American helicopters arrive and rescue him. Dengler is being treated in an army hospital. However, since his initial operation was classified, the CIA is holding him until he can be transferred to a CIA facility for debriefing. But his crew from the Navy devise their own rescue plan to return Dengler to their ship. Dengler's unit sends a cake to the army hospital to commemorate Dengler's birthday. They request the CIA agents for privacy so that they can properly celebrate their squad member's birthday. The CIA agrees and walks out to give them some privacy. They eventually smuggle Dengler hidden beneath the cake cart and push him to their helicopter, and fly away. The crew returns Dengler to his Navy ship after successfully fooling the CIA. Dengler is returned to the SS Ranger, his former naval vessel. The ship's crew have all gathered and give him a proper hero's welcome. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more videos.